The VelociPastor. This can't be a real movie, right? Like, seriously, how can this be any good? Well, it opens as you would expect, with Doug Jones, a pastor, giving a sermon. Afterwards, he goes outside and sees his parents. Then, their car explodes. But they don't have the special effects, so it's just a placeholder. Okay, I get it. It's one of those movies, not to be taken seriously. I guess with a title called VelociPastor, I should have guessed that. Okay, let's turn our brains off and have some fun. After this tragedy, Father Stewart suggests Doug go on a trip to take his mind off of things. So he finds himself in China, walking around just minding his own business, but fate has other plans. This lady's shot and falls down, dying in Doug's arms, giving him this dinosaur tooth and calling him the Dragon Warrior.
Dragon Warrior.
He cuts himself with the tooth and then wakes up, back home in his bed. You would think that this was all just a dream, but it wasn't. He really did go to China and get the tooth. Now, he's woefully unprepared for its power. He gets a hunger that grows deep inside of him until he can't control it anymore, and he transforms. First, attacking this mugger. Then, Doug wakes up again, this time in Carol's house. She's the muggee. She also happens to be a hooker, so I think you can see where this is going.
Oh, I see.
Opposites attract, and even though Doug is celibate, you just know they're going to end up knocking boots.
Do you have anything I can wear?
At first, Doug wants nothing to do with her and needs to get back to church for confession, where he meets Frankie Mermaid, Carol's pimp, and honestly, he has a whole laundry list of confessions to give. One of which is murdering Doug's parents. That's right, he blew up their car. And Doug loses it, killing Frankie, but knowing that he was only a hitman. There's a whole network of crime bosses out there, and they all have to pay. He teams up with Carol, and together they prepare to take down this mysterious organization. Everything's going pretty well until Father Stewart sees Doug hanging out with the hooker and gets worried. So he takes him to an exorcist, which doesn't go so well. During the ceremony, Doug is forced into his dino form and he attacks Stewart. Out in the woods, he fights off some ninjas. So now we got ninjas in the mix? Well, he wakes up once again in Carol's house, where he pretty much gives up on his priestly vow to never get laid. I gotta say, this is really well edited. In the morning, the ninjas attack, and man, Carol's got some moves. I guess you gotta be tough if you're working out on the streets. So what's up with all these ninjas? Well, we learn through Father Stewart, who's still alive, that there's this religious organization. Their plan is to get cocaine out on the streets that's 4 times stronger than the normal drug and get people hooked. Then they'll cut off their supply. With nowhere else to go, they'll have to resort to the church, thus growing their numbers. I mean, I guess that's one way to do it, but obviously Father Stewart doesn't agree, so he's taken out once and for all. Doug shows up at the ninja church drug den, and we learn that he has a brother.
Brother?
This is meant to be the big twist near the end, but it doesn't amount to much. They fight one-on-one, while Carol's in the background taking on everyone else. He finally kills his brother with his own sword, and that's that. But then a mini-boss comes out and attacks Carol, who dies in Doug's arms, which only ticks him off, and we finally get to see the dinosaur's true form in all its glory. It looks pretty silly, like a T-Rex with a giant humpback. At this point, though, I don't know what I was expecting. Doug wins, but then Wee Chan shoots him with an arrow laced with something that turns him back into a human. He goes on to explain that a long time ago, like millions of years, there used to be a ton of these lizard creatures roaming around. But then they discovered an antivenom, which turned them into humans, thus explaining dinosaurs, I guess. Now, Doug is the last one. But it would seem like his hands are immune to the antivenom, and he rips the dude's head off. Alright, I'm a fan of the effects. Doug takes Carol to the hospital where they're able to save her life, and they agree to team up and take down all of the evils of the world. Earlier, I asked how could this movie be any good? And now, I have my answer. By not taking itself seriously. Like, at all. But at the same time, the characters play it so straight, it's genuinely funny. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but VelociPastor is a good movie. I enjoyed it. The whole thing stemmed from a trailer made as a film school project that just so happened to go viral. Also, apparently they did a lot of cool stuff, like filming on 16mm and then cooking it in an oven to give it an aged look. That's old school indie stuff that most people would just use a filter for nowadays. Some jokes were overused, like a laughing bit, but I thought they would do that special effects joke again at least a few times, and I was pleasantly surprised that that wasn't the case. The editing, like I said, is really well done. Think about how long it would take to piece all of these clips together. And the music, it's banging! The budget for this movie was right around $35,000 to $45,000, which is pretty low. They didn't even buy a dinosaur costume. It was made for a school play and never got used. I also recommend watching this a couple of times. You'll pick up on little dumb things that you didn't see the first time. Like Doug pretending to read the Bible, but the book he's actually reading is comically large. This is a dumb movie. Yeah, of course it is. It's called VelociPastor. But you're asking the wrong question. You should be asking, is this a fun movie? And yeah, it is. The perfect thing to put on with a group of friends who like this kind of stuff. And that's why I'm gonna give it 3 humpback dinos out of 4.
What am I gonna do? I need you.